Today's movie starts in 1974 upstate New York, and young Thaddeus is riding a car with his father and his older brother Sid. Thad is playing with a magic 8-ball, but Sid takes away his toy from him. Then we see Thad complaining to his father, and he is mocked for being a whiny little kid. Sid then throws him his toy back, but Thad thinks that the toy is broken, but then weird symbols appear on the ball, and Thad is then transported to another dimension. He appears in the Rock of Eternity, a mystic temple home to the ancient wizard named Shazam. And the wizard tells Thad that he's been looking for centuries to find a pure-hearted person to transfer his powers to. But first, Thad will have to show that he is of pure heart and strong in spirit. But then, the 7 deadly sins that have been locked away by the wizards tell Thad that they could give him more power than the wizard. Greed, one of the 7 deadly sins, tells Thad that his father thinks that Thad is weak, and that if he takes the eye, Thad will get all the power in the world. And Thad goes to take the eye, but he is stopped by the wizard. And Thad has failed the test, apparently, and the wizard deems Thad unworthy. And he tells them that he will never be worthy, and Thad is then teleported back to his father's car. He tells his father and brother what he just saw, and they obviously don't believe him. And then he tries to open the car door, and in the confusion, their car is hit by another car. All of them manage to survive, but his father becomes paralyzed from the waist down. And both his father and Sid blame Thad for the incident because nobody's gonna believe that he got transported to another dimension. After the crash, Thad sees a message on his magic 8-ball, and it's a message from the Sins telling him to come find them. And present day, it's 2019 in the city of Philadelphia, and we see 14-year-old Billy Batson tricking the police to come into a store, and he locks them in. And then he gets in their car and searches for a Rachel Batson on their police computer, and then takes the address and runs away. Billy gets to the front door of Rachel Batson's house, and he remembers being at a carnival when he was 4 years old, and his mother Rachel wins him a compass. And when they were getting out of the carnival, Billy gets separated from his mom, and he tries to look for her, but he doesn't find her, and the police find him, and since then, he's been a foster child. He knocks on the door, and a woman responds, and he tells her that he's her son, but then he notices that it's a black woman who's clearly not his mom. And Billy is then captured by the police and gets sent back to the foster care office. And Billy has run away from his foster homes about 23 times, and the administrator at the office tells Billy that she has found a group home for him, and this is his last chance, since no family ever wants a kid that just keeps running away. Billy then meets up with Victor and Rosa, and they tell him they were also foster children and that he doesn't need to feel any pressure. They then take him to their home, and Victor and Rosa raise 5 other foster kids. Mary is the oldest, and there's also Pedro, Eugene, Darla, and Freddy, who loves superheroes. And Billy meets everyone, and then he goes to his room, which he shares with Freddy. Freddy walks with a cane because he has a disability in one of his legs. And Billy starts looking around the room, and he sees Freddy's superhero collections. And he's got a big collection, and also an authentic bullet that Superman was shot with. Elsewhere, we see Dr. Thaddeus Sivana, and he is researching to open a door to the Rock of Eternity after paying for research on people who's been taken to the next dimension. And Dr. Sivana finally figures out the code to open the door. And Sivana then appears at the temple, and he sees the wizard old and weak. And he asks the wizard if he remembers him, and Sivana is still angry that he wasn't deemed worthy. And the 7 sins are still in their cage, but the wizard has grown too weak. And Sivana then takes the eye, releasing the sins from their cage, and the sins have found their champion. And the eye then enters Dr. Sivana's eyes, giving him all the powers of the sins. The wizard tries to stop him, but Dr. Sivana was too powerful at this point, and he throws the wizard away and he leaves the temple. And back in school, 2 bullies start harassing and beating Freddy. And Billy, at first, ignores them, but then when the bullies insulted Freddy for not having a mom, who does that? Anyways, Billy jumps in and he hits the bullies in the back. And the bullies then leave Freddy and they start chasing after Billy. And he runs away and escapes to a subway, and while sitting in the subway, Billy gets transported to the Rock of Eternity. And Billy finds the wizard, and the wizard explains that he is the last of the Council of Wizards. He tells Billy he's standing in the source of all magic, 7 thrones of the 7 wizards. But a long time ago, they chose a champion, but they chose recklessly, and the champion used his power for revenge, which led to the release of the 7 deadly sins, which led to the death of millions, including the other 6 wizards. And the wizard then tells Billy that he's the only one he's got now, and the only one that can save the world. And the wizard tells Billy to put his hand on the staff and say his name, Shazam, so that the power of the wizard can be transferred to Billy. And Billy puts his hand on the staff and he says the wizard's name. And Billy then transforms to an adult superhero. And the wizard dies after transferring his powers, leaving his staff behind. Billy then gets transported to the subway and he's still an adult wearing a red and gold costume. At home, everyone is worried Billy's missing, while Freddy is washing the dishes and the adult Billy comes to the window. Freddy freaks out, but Billy convinces him that it's actually him. And Freddy meets up with Billy outside, and they start doing tests to figure out what Billy's powers are. They try to see if he can fly, but apparently he couldn't. But then he releases a lightning bolt from his hand. And then Billy sees a woman getting robbed and he uses his hyperspeed to get her and catch the thief. Then Billy and Freddy go to the supermarket and Billy tries to buy some beer. And as he was picking out which brand to get, 2 thieves break into the supermarket. Billy goes to stop them and they shoot at him with their gun, but Billy is apparently bulletproof too. Billy then ties the robbers and he throws them through the window of the supermarket. Then Freddy and Billy come home really late and Billy sneaks in as to not be seen, but Rosa wanted to talk to him. Billy then runs into Darla's room and she's scared, but Billy explains it to her and that it's him and not some other pervert. And he also explains that a wizard gave him power that he can access by saying Shazam. And when he says that word, Shazam, he goes back to normal. Apparently by saying Shazam, Billy can go into his superhero mode and come back and be a little kid again if he wants to. And after obtaining the power of the 7 deadly sins, Dr. Sivana goes to his father's company to get revenge. And after disrupting a board meeting, he sees his brother Sid, and he throws him from the building and kills him. And then the sins start coming out of Dr. Sivana, and he lets them kill everyone in the room. And he lets Greed have his father, and then the sins tell Sivana that a wizard has been chosen, and Sivana has to kill Shazam before he can realize his full potential. If Shazam does realize his full potential and power, Shazam would be able to defeat him. And Sivana doesn't really want that, and he asks the sins to lead him to Shazam. Meanwhile, Billy and Freddy have been skipping class to go to an abandoned factory and test out Billy's powers. And Freddy records the video and releases it on YouTube, which is making Shazam really popular. While in school, Freddy tries to get out of being bullied and tells his whole school Shazam will come to the cafeteria tomorrow. But the next day, Billy skips school and he ditches Freddy to live life as an adult superhero. And Billy goes out and takes selfies with people and he shows them his powers. And during this time, Billy forgot that he needed to appear at the school cafeteria today. And everyone starts making fun at Freddy and they bully him even some more. And they actually give him a suitcase wedgie. It's a really bad kind of wedgie, but yeah, he gets that. And while showing his powers, Billy accidentally hits a moving bus tire with his lightning bolt, and he blows up the tire and the bus loses control and falls off a bridge. But Billy, or should I say Shazam, gets there in time and he saves the people on the bus. And everyone cheers for Shazam, considering him a hero, and he gets interviewed by the news. And Freddy and Billy get into an argument, and Billy tells Freddy that he's just jealous of his power, and Freddy tells him that his powers have made him a show-off and a bully. And all of a sudden, Dr. Sivana appears behind Shazam, and he tells him to give his power or die. Billy ignores him, thinking Sivana is just a normal human, but then Sivana kicks Shazam's ass, and he takes Shazam up to the sky and he throws him to the ground. And Shazam, praying that he doesn't die, finally figures out how to fly. Then he manages to escape from Dr. Sivana, but Sivana chases after him and they crash into a mall. Shazam, feeling really scared about all this, decides to turn back to a 14-year-old and escape Sivana. And Freddy, seeing the fight, goes to find Shazam, but Sivana finds Freddy first. When Billy gets home, he gets scolded by his new foster parents and his foster siblings have figured out that he's actually Shazam, which Darla already knew. And Pedro has found Billy's notebook, and Eugene has found a way to find where Billy's biological mom is living. And they tell him she lives 3 subways away, and Billy goes to find his mom. He knocks on her apartment, and when she opens, he shows her the compass she won him when he was a kid. And Billy is so happy he found his mom, but she reveals that she was a 17-year-old girl, and when she had him, her father was in prison. And back when Billy got lost at the carnival, she went back to look for him, and then she saw him with the police. And she left him there because she believed he'd have better chances with somebody else than with her. Billy is shocked to learn this. He gives his mother the compass and tells her he needs to go find his real family. After Billy says goodbye to his mom, he gets a call from Freddy, and apparently Sivana has abducted all of his brothers and sisters. He tells Billy to come to him right now, otherwise he would kill them. And Billy turns to Shazam and flies back to Sivana. He then sees his siblings held by the sins. Then Sivana opens a portal to the temple and takes the wizard's staff and orders Shazam to say the champion's name. Once Dr. Sivana entered the portal, the 7 sins also entered with him. And just as he was about to make Billy say the champion's name, Freddy and his siblings come to help him out. And then Billy notices Sivana becoming more vulnerable when all the sins leave his body. Using the distraction, Billy hits Sivana and runs away with his siblings. Sivana and the sins chase after them, but Billy manages to teleport them out of there. They run into this carnival, but Sivana releases all the sins on the people at the carnival. And Shazam and Sivana finally start fighting, and even though Billy has gotten stronger, he's still getting beaten up by Sivana. And then Sivana manages to capture Billy's siblings again, and he tells the sins to kill Darla. And Billy then stops and willingly comes to Sivana to give him his power. And Billy grabs the staff and the sins go back into Sivana's eye. Billy then remembers the wizards telling him that he can unlock his greatest power using his heart. Then he takes the staff and he pushes Sivana with it, and then he tells his siblings to hold on to the staff and say his name, Shazam. They actually say Billy first and then they say Shazam. All of a sudden, when they say Shazam, Billy's siblings transform into adult superheroes just like him, and all of them have some part of his power. Sivana then releases 6 of the deadly sins, keeping 1 for himself because he needs at least 1 of them inside of him to have power. Yeah. And Billy's siblings start to fight off these 6 sins. Then Billy and Sivana fight on the roof of the building, and Billy figures out that one of the sins, envy, is still inside Sivana. Then Billy baits out envy to come out of Sivana, and without at least one of the sins, Sivana is now powerless. Billy then takes him and flies away and escapes from envy, and all the sins follow them, but Billy forcibly removes the eye out of Sivana. Billy and his siblings then return all the sins into their prison. They also plan to use the temple as their superhero lair. And finally, Billy has accepted his foster family as his real family. And at school, Freddy was eating lunch with his siblings, but then Shazam surprises him by impressing everybody at school. He's also apparently invited somebody big, and it turned out to be Superman. And that is how the movie ends. Oh yeah, there's also an end of credit scene where Dr. Sivana is approached by a talking caterpillar who proposes him an alliance. And that's where it ends. Yeah. And there's actually a new Shazam movie coming out. I might recap that one if you guys want me to. Leave a comment. And also, like this video and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys on my next recap. Bye.